Today we're here with my good friend Wayne Gray. We did a little bit of a conditioning workout earlier, so what I'll do is I'll let you introduce yourself.
Right, so my name's Wayne Gray. I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist here at Northeast Sports Training. Been in the field for about 5 years now, working with athletes ranging from high school, college, professional level, mainly in field sports, hockey, a little bit in the fight game, so like MMA, Muay Thai, stuff like that. We also do a bunch of rehab work, so a lot of times athletes will come out of like physical therapy, maybe they're not ready to get back on the field, back on the ice, stuff like that. That's where I kind of take over, make sure they're feeling comfortable, they can get back on the field and go from there.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about like what we did today, why we did it, and kind of like what your thought process was behind choosing the type of workout that we did.
So basically today we started out with a dynamic warm-up, movement prep stuff, kind of get everything ready, raise core body temperature obviously is one of the main things you want to do. From there we kind of figure out, okay, what am I going to do for the day? So we pick movements that kind of prepare your body to do that. So we went through a general dynamic warm-up, hamstrings, glute, different things like that. Then we get into an activation segment where basically, again, hamstring focus, glute focus. We knew we were going to do some plyos and jumps. From there, we really just did mainly conditioning pieces today. I chose low skill movements like reel runner, sled, different things like that, versa climber, things that necessarily you don't need to have a high skill to learn, like a muscle up or a snatch or anything like that. We were not doing like, really high skill movements for repetitive reps. They're just gonna have a bigger carryover into, say, your basic Olympic lifting or powerlifting movements. They're gonna allow for better, basically quicker recovery time between the movements, and that's why I like them a lot. So the reason why strength athletes in general need conditioning or GPP, general physical preparedness, is so that they can decrease the recovery time between repetitions. And you're going to see a huge benefit from that, right? If you do it effectively and you figure out how to combine it, you can still improve. And I'm slowly getting back to, close to what my maximal lifts were.
Right.
And I'm just a much more well-rounded athlete.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's like really important, especially, and it's important to talk about because like coming from a weightlifting background, like all we do every day is weightlift, right? So we're focused on the snatch, we're focused on the clean and jerk, we're focused on the squat, we're focused on a pull, and that's it, right? So for me, like I've seen a lot of success, like you're saying, is just kind of like keeping it interesting. Obviously, like the workout today, I probably wouldn't go through the whole thing like on a normal day. But there were, like we were talking about earlier, there are things where I could like pick and choose and say like, oh, I really like that box jump. Like that could really translate and help me out. And just little things like that, like you don't think about like, I should do that, I should be doing that, because it just is another way to get better and give you a little bit more of an edge.
As soon as you kind of break that mold, because, it's like the law of accommodation. If you're just constantly doing the same thing over and over and over, your body's going to figure that out. Like, then you need to add in some assistance work, you need to add in the box jump, and that might be that little key thing that kind of breaks you through. There's definitely other ways of doing it. Basically what I'm getting at is there's a million ways to skin a cat. So you can still get to the same goal as long as you're training the appropriate movements, triple extension, the case of weightlifting and stuff like that, and really focusing on the right energy systems. You can combine everything. It's just it needs to be done intelligently, and you have to put everything together. Kind of that age of the old, Olympic lifter. You take 10 minutes between the set and pop. I was in that world too. You know what I mean? Like I powerlifted forever. And I was in that world where you sit down 3 minutes between the squat workout and you're like, what? And you just cool down and stuff like that. So that age we're kind of coming out of that now, and you're seeing where, you get a higher work density, you're able to recover quicker and then get right back at it, and then that way you can elicit a different training effect. You know what I mean? You can really put everything into like a more, basically, like I said, like increase that work density and allow yourself to adapt to just different stimulus rather than just lifting heavy singles and heavy doubles and then stuff like that.
Are there certain movements or certain exercises that you think are like staple items, everyone should be doing them? Do you think it's like specific to the sport itself? Do you think it's specific to the athlete individually?
Yeah, I do think there's some things, just like basic movement patterns that everyone should be doing. Obviously squatting, hinging, stuff like that. So basically a deadlift, some type of lunge variation, step up, something like that. Just all the basic human movement patterns. I think no matter what you're doing, you should be including those in your workouts, just so you don't build up any asymmetries. One thing I would like to see more of, and it's starting to get there, like in the weightlifting world and the powerlifting world especially, is just more unilateral work. So whether it's like, lunging or a lateral dumbbell squat or something like that, just so you can stay healthy as a whole. And I know adding that, right? Like, just
And I mean, it's like things that I can't, like honestly, physically, my knee health is like, there are days where I can't do a lunge. And so I think like that's something where I've tried to incorporate more, like in my warm up alone.
Exactly, and that's how you do it. That's what I was about to suggest. You know, people start out like, it doesn't mean you throw 225 on your back and go for a walking lunge.
Right.
It literally means like today in the warm up, like we were doing. You know, we did like a single leg RDL.
Right.
And in that activation sequence I was talking about, you go through a couple rounds of maybe like a single leg RDL and a reverse lunge and a slider, something very basic just to start getting those movement patterns in. So I think those are huge. I think everyone should be doing some type of plyometric, some type of jumping. I mean, like it's, again, basic human movement, no matter what you're doing. It's just you're working on maximal force recruitment without a weight on your body. So that's what we want to be able to do, right? Like having a weight on you is awesome. You know what I mean? We all want to be strong and squat. We all want to be able to clean a ton. But you also want to be able to recruit that same amount of power with just your body weight. And in turn, doing that will also help you recruit just more muscle fiber when you're squatting, deadlifting, etc. So,
cool.
So those are the movements. From a conditioning standpoint, I would say if you're in more of a the strength athlete world, keep it basic. Sleds, really easy. It's all concentric movement. There's no eccentric, so you're not going to get as sore. With that eccentric stuff is where you're going to see people get really sore and beat up. So you can recover from that volume pretty easily. So I like sled pushes, sled drags, airdyne bike intervals, stuff like that. Just keeping it really easy. Like I said, nothing that's going to beat you up too bad. And then from there you can play with it. You know what I mean? As far as aerobic work goes. No, everyone hates doing it. Like me, like I'm not gonna jump on a treadmill for like 2 hours. Like it sucks. So like what I like to do is usually I'll pick maybe 5 to 6 of those like basic movements that I know aren't gonna beat me up too much. It could be a medicine ball slam, maybe a rotational medicine ball throw, sled push, airdyne bike, Versa climber. Like just for an example, something like that. And I'll just move through each one of those, maybe a minute at each station, but keeping my heart rate in like that aerobic zone for say 20 minutes. So, I try and tell people, and I use it with my clients a lot, is that just because, you don't need a run for it to be an aerobic workout. That's where people get that disconnect. You know what I mean? They think like, oh, aerobic, I just gotta go run, or I gotta sit on or I gotta sit on a bike. For it to be steady state, all you gotta do is get your heart rate in the zone you want it to be. So you could use, a bench press, a deadlift, and a squat if you really wanted to, if you want to be more specific to powerlifting, and you see that now more in the CrossFit world where they do like EMOMs and stuff like that to be more specific to weightlifting. So that's like one of my big things that I do for really my athletes and any strength athletes and stuff like that. Most of them, they're like us, they get bored, they're not going to sit on a treadmill for 30 minutes, so we do stuff kind of in a circle. So those are the main things that I would say anyone should be doing, any athlete should be doing, and it's pretty simple. There's different ways to work it into a program. That's where it goes into the individual thing. If that's where you have to look at the individual, see what their program is, and then try and fit it in from there.
So how often should we be doing this? Like for the everyday person, is it like X amount of times a week? For an athlete, because we want to focus more so on like sport specific movements?
When you start looking at athletes, you have to figure out, okay, then it gets very individual. You have to figure out, are they in the off season, are they in season, or that if they're in season, they're probably not going to need to be doing too much of it. Depending on what their sport is, they're probably getting a lot of sport specific sprinting skill work, say for a hockey player or hockey player on ice work. Then you might only want to do like maybe 1 or 2 based on their training schedule recovery sessions a week, where it's something maybe long and slow, and then maybe like the next day is just a couple intervals, and then their sport specific work is taking care of everything else. For the general population, again, I think it depends on your training age and what level you're at, and if you're an intermediate, beginner, whatever. I would say a probably good place to start is 1 or 2 interval workouts a week, maybe 2 aerobic based workouts a week, and then move from there and just kind of see how your body adapts and feel. I like to do more of the aerobic based stuff on like my recovery days. So like I don't take too many days off like I always been like that. But like my days off are more of like active recovery, and that's where I'll do the aerobic work, where I kind of just do those long, slow, say pick 5 movements, go for 30 minutes. I'll usually do that 1 or 2 days a week, and then the rest of the days are more like interval or like lactic threshold based stuff. But I would say a good place to start is whichever one you like more. I would say if you like doing more long, slow stuff, pick 2 of those and do 1 interval day. And then if you like doing more hard and fast stuff, go 2 interval days, 1 kind of long and slow aerobic. Like me personally, I'd rather just blow it out for 10 minutes and get it over with. But I hate the long, slow stuff. But so that's where I would start and that's how I would work it into a program. As far as like on what days to do it, again, I like to keep more of the high intensity stuff to one day. So like I would personally rather like have a high intensity squat day and do more of the interval work on that same day.
Okay.
So you're not switching up the stimulus too much, you know what I mean?
Right.
Again, you have to think of the energy system. So if you're doing like a hard squat day or a really intense Olympic lifting day or something like that, you're asking your body maximum force output, and then all of a sudden you're going to have them do an aerobic work too. So it's just two contradicting things. So the body's like, all right, what am I working? What am I adapting to?
So which do you do first? Which would you suggest that people do? Because that's a big thing too, I think, in this world right now, is like, obviously like cardiovascular fitness is important, and doing kind of that like conditioning work is important, but do you sacrifice, you know, your heavy days, your lifting days, your strength days for conditioning and kind of fitness?
I don't think you have to. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think it's feeling it out and combining it. If you're gonna do the long, slow stuff on the same day as like a heavy lifting day, I would prefer to then try and split it up into 2 sessions. So what I would do is maybe do a morning, long, slow, whatever, row, bike, run, or the conditioning we were just talking about. And then wait 4 to 6 hours, and then do your max effort strength work later on in the day. That's what I would do. I think your best option though is to just do, like I said, the maximal effort strength work and like the more high intensity interval stuff on the same day. Whether you have to split it up into 2 sessions, or you can recover and you can give yourself maybe 15 or 20 minutes and then do it however you want to work that into your program. You'd have to talk with like your coach or however you know what you feel is best for you. But that way, like I said, you're not asking your body to recognize 2 different stimulus. It's like, okay, we're going hard today. That's it. Your body knows. The next day, it might be the recovery day where you do the aerobic work and stuff like that, or that could be 2 days later. Something like that. But that's how I would work on it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, jazzercise. That's what it is.
Oh,
You're doing great, sweetie. Nailed it. Try not to die, mainly. Really focusing on not dying.
It's a good goal.